Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Diddy's post-prison special conditions has been revealed, and there's mostly not any surprises, but there is one big surprise, and we'll get to that in a moment. The outpatient treatment for drugs and domestic violence program is absolutely in play. Diddy received a 50-month prison sentence a couple of weeks ago, and now he knows what his future will look like after he serves his sentence of 4+ years. Diddy got 5 years of supervised release, which includes some pretty standard conditions. He has to submit to searches. He cannot contact the victims in the case for any reason. Diddy will have to participate in outpatient treatment programs for drug abuse and mental health issues, where he will be required to take prescribed medicine unless a healthcare provider instructs him otherwise. He also must participate in an approved program for domestic violence. No surprise there. Also among the standard conditions is a line about not owning, possessing, or having access to a firearm or other destructive device. Now let's take a quick trip down memory lane. I mean, really quick. Back to where they said that he would have to be required to take medication. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Now that this big old distraction is over, how about letting us take a peep at those Epstein files? That's right, I said it. This was all one big old distraction, fam. A distraction to get our minds off those Epstein files. And you know what? There's a connection here, fam. Because I'll bet you $1 to a donut before the end of the year, Trump pardons Diddy. Oh yeah. Diddy going home, not today, but he'll be home for Christmas. Yeah. Diddy will be home for Christmas. I'm telling you, man. Mark my words. Mark my word. Yeah. So I wanted to go back to that part in the sentencing guidelines for release, the release conditions, where the judge requires him to take medication. First thing came to my mind is like, I thought they do that for, people who, RAPE, you know what I'm saying? I thought that was for that. So I did a little research, and these are some possible legal justifications a court might use to force a defendant or a convicted felon to take medication. Restoring competency to stand trial. If a defendant is found to be mentally incompetent to understand the proceedings or assist their defense, a court might order involuntary medication to restore competence, but this is allowed only under strict conditions. The medication must be medically appropriate. It must not produce side effects that undermine a fair trial. There must be no less intrusive alternative. It must significantly further an important government interest like the criminal process. The court must weigh the person's liberty interest against the government's interest. These principles come from U.S. case law on forced psychiatric medication in criminal contexts. Now, here's another reason they can give for forcing a convicted felon or defendant to take medication. If you're a danger to yourself or others. In some jurisdictions, medical treatment, including psychotropic medication, may be forced if the person is an immediate danger to themselves or others and the situation is urgent, requiring immediate intervention. In emergencies, courts or institutions may rely on implied consent or emergency doctrines. So basically, Even if it's against the law, if you don't know the law and you don't challenge it, they can force you to take that medicine. They're already doing it. There's a lot of people right now that are in jail facilities who did not give consent. Yeah. And there were no tests done and all these type of things. They just did it because they knew they could get away with it. I mean, who gonna check them? Who's gonna hold them accountable? Long story short, Diddy is going to have to take forced medication. And if he don't take it, they can put him in an institution. Yeah. They can justify putting him in an institution. And in some cases, they can send him back to prison. Yeah, just like when you move without telling your parole officer you move, they can send you back to prison. I seen it done. They'll send you back to prison. You gotta let them know. If you're moving, you gotta let them know where you are, because they will assume that you're on the run. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially about those Epstein files. No more talk.